Unfortunately, I can't get too loud right now. But if I could, I would be screaming right now. I'm trying to resist it so much. Anyways. But... Okay, I did so much drugs that my game crashed. That's a lot of drugs.
Oh boy, I'm back to health. You fucked me back to health.
Indeed, indeed. Come here. I'm gonna join them. And poop too.
Little privacy, please. Oh, okay. Well,
I'm here for
together.
the poop show.
Yeah,
Come on, get on here.
Go ahead,
We're
get
here
it
for the shit
going.
show.
I paid good money for this.
We're here for the
Bionics,
shit
get
show.
in there. Let me shut the door.
I paid good money for this.
Yeah. Now
Have
do
fun.
the dance.
Oh, that's a lap dance right there.
Yeah.
Outhouse lap dance.
On the shitter. Volunteer for Ouija board. You all go deal with Ghost. I'll go deal with Ouija board.
Oh no. Wait. Where are you going with it?
I'm going over here.
You don't want to be in the room where she's at?
I don't have to be at the Ouija board.
Alright.
Why would I have to be in the same room?
Start fucking with it.
I'm gonna break the Ouija board and make it hunt. We're looking for fingies? Do we just need fingies? I forgave you, Legion. You're good. Right, let's summon the ghost. Fuck you, ghost. We have to get away from here, though. I'm evil.
Well, Shark's dead.
Yes, my evil plan worked. Don't ever let the demon get the Ouija board.
Oh no. I don't know if I got an actual photo of it though. I did try.
Ah, my evil plans. Thank you. I already had one. Why didn't I use it? I always forget I have those incendiaries for some reason. No, you're stupid. Screw you, Nugget. You're stupid. I am all the smarts. See, look, I shoot him in the face as I miss 5 shots in a row and stare her in her loving eyes and as she strangles me. Come here. No. Save me for the chainsaws. Boulder dash. No. Yes. Get him, Boulder dash. Ah. Yes. 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 Boulder dash MVP. Boulder dash. And you never leave my side. Ever. If he comes, because he's gonna come back if he knows what he's doing. He's gonna come back and he's gonna get me. If I wasn't wounded, I'm gonna try to be funny. I do a dance. I do a dance. Oh, okay. Did I please my master daddy pyramid head? Yes. Yes. Oh. I must poke. Hold on, come here, I must poke you. Must touch the ass. Oh, come here. Hold on, stand still. Oh. Scap it. Okay. Well, fine, we'll go. I'm gonna beat my ass, Daddy Pyramid Head. No. Ah, okay. Alright, Pseudos. One little Pyramid Head. This radium do I have? 39. Ah! What the hell? Okay.
Did you get a legendary?
No.
Okay.
The grenade apparently just blew somebody up.
Alright.
A famous chef can finally come true. Right, Wobble Bell? You want a tasty meal. No puppy. Oh, the lingering smell of kitchen splatter. Don't run off again, Wobble Bell. Come here, boy. Puppy. Gotta hit puppy. Holy crap, I can kill puppy. I can kill, yes. I can kill puppy. I killed puppy.
I did it. See, Jugger, you happy now? What the fuck? Jugger, I swear to God, Jugger, I swear to God, if you kill me with this. If you kill me with this, Jugger, I'm gonna murder you. You're going on the hook forever. You get a wish. You get a wish, Ghosty. Get one wish. Get one wish if you just have to rub it. Rub the shiny. Rub the shiny.
No.
Yes.
No.
Rub the shiny.
Do it.
Rub it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Ghosty, do it.
Unlimited power.
Yes, do it. Do it, Ghosty.
No.
Do it. Do it. Let the hate flow through you, Ghosty. Do it.
I can't breathe.
Do it. Do it. Take the card.
No.
The power of the... Do not believe in the heart of the cards, Ghosty. It's calling for you.
No,
I don't care.
Guide me.
Do it.
Oh my god.
Do it. Yay! We got it. Bad look for barbecue. Did I just hear somebody else? Yes, I did. Nope. I literally turned around. That is not camping. You literally walked there as I was about to walk away. That's your fault. Right, maybe a slightly better one for barbecue. What? You just DC? What? What just? What? What? Okay. Flip.
Hi, I've got a third for our party.
Yes, we have.
No.
Alright, alright. Oh, god damn it, I forgot to put the thing in. One moment. One moment. We have scuff. We have scuff. There we go. No, not this. What the fuck? What am I doing? Not this. Not that. Go away. No, I need... Where is it? Pop. There we go. Much better. Much better. Alrighty, greetings. We are here with some more reading today. We're continuing C.S. Lewis's Abolition of Man. We'll just jump right on into it. So let me get some, do those crabby real quick. One moment. So last we left off, we were on chapter 1 of Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis. Where it's talking about how the linguistic changes within a book might be more damaging than people realize. Let's see here. Alright, chapter 2, The Way. It is upon the trunk that a gentleman works. Analects of Confucius 1.2. The practical result of education in the spirit of the Green Book must be the destruction of the society which accepts it. But this is not necessarily a refutation of subjectivism about values as a theory. The true doctrine might be doctrine which, if we accept, we die. No one who speaks from within the Tao could reject it on that account. Hello, Lichart, how are we? Welcome. We are doing our little reading session today, Lichart. Hope you enjoy a little chill. Oh, I forgot to pop up my chat here. Give me one moment. There we go. Let's see here. However subjective they may be about some traditional values, Gaius and Titius have shown by the very act of writing the Green Book that there must be some other values about which they are not subjective at all. Let's see. Subjective at all. They write in order to produce certain states of mind in the rising generation, if not because they think those states of mind intrinsically just or good, yet certainly because they think them to be means to some state of society which they regard as desirable. It would not be difficult to collect from various passages in the Green Book what their ideal is, but we need not. The important point is not the precise nature of nature of their end, but the fact that they have an end at all. They must have, or their book, being purely practical in intention, is written to no purpose. And this end must have real value in their eyes, to abstain from calling it good, and to use instead such predicates as necessary, or progressive, or efficient, would be subterfuge. They could be forced by argument to answer the questions: necessary for what? Progressing towards what? Effecting what? In the last resort, they would have to admit that some state of affairs was, in their opinions, good for its own sake, and this time they could not maintain that good, simply describe their own emotion about it, for the sole purpose of their book is to condition the young reader that he will share their approval, and this would be either a fool's or a villain's undertaking unless they held their approval was in some way valid or correct. Also, hi Echo Crow, look at the little crow. Look at the little crow, hi. It's good to see you here, Crow. Hope you enjoy the little lurking as you usually do. Hope you enjoy the reading. Yes, we're reading, then we're doing some Pixar animation. I might switch to games, we will see. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, continuing. But from this passage we just read, it just goes on, it basically goes on to the description, because the Green Book is basically, it's a school book. It's not a direct attack on things. As we stated in the last chapter, C.S. Lewis was describing how the Green Book, as he calls it, in the way the language is, I would say subverted, because supposedly it's unintentional, but we'll say subverted, even though we don't have a better word for it at the moment. Because the way the language is subverted, the story mentioned in the first chapter of Men Without Chest, as in Men Without Hearts, is trying to subjectivize emotion, as if emotions themselves aren't some objective thing coming out that manifests within a person. And comparing a old story about emotions and the objective relation to emotions to outside things, comparing it to, well, this old folklore story is no different than an advertisement for a big cruise ship, you know? People are just trying to make you feel good to go get money. That's their argument. But what Lewis is putting here, though, is that the way they're disregarding these older traditions, he's pointing out, well, first off, they're attacking the idea of good in and of itself. And the reason, and he's attacking that because, well, okay, I'm oversimplifying, but the simple way to explain it is, well, if you're attacking good in and of itself, then what are you aiming for? Like, what are you aiming for? Because they use terms such as, it's necessary to do this, it's progressive to do this, it's efficient to do the way that they're describing in the good book, or the Green Book, not the good book, Green Book. But what C.S. Lewis is putting forth is, okay, why? What is the purpose of you doing this? Because you have to at least have a purpose. And he predicts that either they wouldn't have a purpose or they'd have some other nonsense they would have to explain. But I digress, moving on. In actual fact, Gaius and Didius will be found to hold, with complete uncritical dogmatism, the whole system of values which happen to be in vogue among moderately educated young men of the professional classes during the period between two wars. Their skepticism about values is on the surface, it is for use on other people's values. About the values current in their own set, they are not nearly skeptical enough, and this phenomenon is very usual. A great many of those who debunk traditional, or as they would say, sentimental values, have in the background values of their own, which they would believe to be immune from the debunking process. They claim to be cutting away the parasitic growth of emotion, religious sanctity, and inherited taboos, in order that real or basic values may emerge. I will now try to find out what happens if this is seriously attempted. Literally what I was saying. Also, what I point out here is, as he mentions here, let's see, with complete uncritical Okay, so Gaius and Didius, with uncritical dogmatism, happens to have a system of values of their own that is in vogue at the time among intellectuals. At the time, and basically the in vogue more values is to question all other values. For no real reason, it's just the in thing. If I had to translate it, I'm going to translate for you all. Have you ever seen that IQ graph where it's like you have the idiots on one side, you have the people in the middle, and then you have the genius? and then the genius and the complete idiot moron agree with one another, but then it's the midwits that are like the dumbest opinions ever. That's basically what he's describing here, but he's not literally saying that directly. If you read, so far what we read, not just what I read there, but we read in the previous chapter, it's midwits. It's all midwits and useful idiots. People who I got into college, and I'm the smartest person ever, even though you don't have to have that high of an IQ to get into college. And so they believe themselves to be God's gift on earth, and they believe whatever shit is shoved into their mouth, and they regurgitate it through their out. Or no, sorry, they get shit shoved up their ass, and they puke out shit when they talk. That's my description, not Lewis's description. But anyways, I digress. Let's see. Let us continue to use the previous example, that of death for a good cause. Not, of course, because virtue... Hello, Ferryman. Greetings. We're doing reading today, and then we're going to do some pixel art here in a minute. Welcome. Of course, because virtue is the only value, or martyrdom the only virtue, but because this is the experimentum crucis, which shows different systems of thought in the clearest light. Let us suppose that an innovator in values regards, dose et decorum, and greater love hath no man as mere irrational. I understand why they're using a lot of Latin, but I will say I don't know most of the except for the decorum. Well, actually, yeah. Anyways, I digress. Moving on. And greater love hath no man as mere rational sentiments, which are to be stripped off in order that we may get down to the realistic or basic ground of this value. Where will we find such a ground? So basically, if you're boiling down a value, how are you going to find the quote-unquote ground of a value? First of all, he might say that the real value lay in utility of such sacrifice to the community. Good, he might say, means what is useful to the community. But of course, the death of the community is not useful to the community, only the death of some of its members. What is really meant is that the death of some men is useful to other men. That is very true. But on what grounds are some men being asked to die for the benefit of others? Every appeal to pride, honor, shame, or love is excluded by hypothesis. To use these would be to return to sentiment, and the innovator's task is, having cut all that away, to explain to men in terms of pure reasoning why they will be well advised to die that others may live. He may say, unless some of us risk death, all of us are certain to die. But that will be true only in a limited number of cases. And even when it is true, it provokes the very reasonable counter-question, why should I be the one of those to take the risk? Basically, he's arguing against the theory of pure selfishness and no altruism whatsoever. But that's, we'll move on to this. Let's see. At this point, the innovator may ask why, after all, selfishness should be more rational or intelligent than altruism. The question is welcome. If by reason we mean the process actually employed by Gaius and Titius when engaged in debunking, that is, the connected by inference of propositions ultimately derived from sense data with further propositions, then the answer must be that a refusal to sacrifice oneself is no more rational than a consent to do so, and no less rational. Neither choice is rational or irrational at all. From propositions about fact alone, no practical conclusion can ever be drawn. This will preserve society. This will preserve society cannot lead to do this except by the mediation of society ought to be preserved. It's so weird. They do like really weird italics here, and it's really hard to tell because you're actually supposed to emphasize those. It's very hard for me to tell on the screen that it's italicized. Anyways, this will cost your life cannot lead directly to do not do this. It can lead only through a felt desire for an acknowledged duty of self-preservation. The innovator is trying to gain conclusion in the imperative mood out of premises in the indicative mood. And though he continues trying to all eternity, he cannot succeed, for the thing is impossible. We must therefore either extend the word reason to include what our ancestors called practical reason, and confess that judgments such as society ought to be preserved, though they can support themselves by no reason of the sort that Gaius and Titius demand, are not mere sentiments, but rationality itself. Or else we must give up at once, and forever, the attempt to find a core of rational value behind all sentiments we have debunked.
The innovator will not take the first alternative, for practical principles known to all men by reason are simply the Tao, which he has set out to supersede. He is more likely to give up the quest for rational core and to hunt for some other ground even more basic and realistic. Okay, so I gotta add something a little bit to this. I did to C.S. Lewis. I had my own little writings rambles a while ago about how people who are hardcore critics, say like critical theorists, hardcore critical theorists, and individuals who always attack tradition. And mind you, I'm not, let me make this clear here, I'm not conservative, I'm libertarian. I want to make this perfectly clear before I go rambling about this, because it is relevant to the modern day, I would argue. Now, that is said, when you have these people usually have people arguing being critical, or being hyper-relative. I'm not saying like being, you know, being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes is not a valuable thing. It is a valuable thing. And to understand how other people are coming from and for purposes of negotiation is bad. That's really good. That's a good skill to have. However, what I usually argue is a lot of people who are obsessed with these sort of things, the core of it, or rather the origin from it. What you have is you have hyper-intellectuals who establish the theory. I say establish the theory. The theory really in most cases is just people that go to appeal of authority, because you'd be surprised at how easy lots of groups are manipulated by appeal to authority. There are certain events in the last few years that I'm not going to mention on here that were entirely appeal to authority. But anyways, but onto this objective ramble though. What he's pointing out here is that you have a situation where, what was it? Oh, no, sorry, no, this is what I was going to point out. So what I was going to point out here is, so we have these books early on. This book was around the height of World War II, right? Or at least the book that Lewis is critiquing. And what it is that book was arguing, as we were mentioned earlier, that emotions, oh, well, that's just irrational gobbledygook, get it out of the way so we can find the rational, true value of things, you know, so on. Almost like a, I wouldn't say Nietzsche. Nietzsche does go pretty emotional with things. Okay, I wouldn't say Nietzsche. But I digress. But the point is that sentimentality is ripped out of the value system, and it slowly builds up. Because mind you, this is when it started, but it slowly starts building up in academia, more and more and more. And then you have midwits who are taught this as they go to college, as well as, hey, I want to be in the big academic circle. I want prestige, I want glory, I want all the fun and games. And so as a result, they have to parrot what the other academics say. Because rarely are they the actual ones that put forth the quote-unquote theories themselves. I'll give you a hint, they're usually by big think tanks. I'm going to tell you that right now. But what you have is, now after these years, we've knocked out the sentimentality and traditional values. Now we're going to insert our own sentimentality and our own values to manipulate the masses for social engineering. That's what it is. But I digress. Let's continue on. That's more of my ramble than Lewis's directly, but he does hint at that several times. And keep in mind, as I mentioned, this was written in 1943, before a lot of the modern gobbledygook, aside from the wars themselves, have occurred. I could give a lot more specific, but I can't. I don't think I want to get specific on Twitch and stuff right now. Anyways, this he will probably feel that he has found an instinct. This he will probably feel that he has found an instinct. The preservation of society and of the species itself are ends that do not hang on the precarious thread of reason. They are given by instinct. That is why there is no need to argue against the man who does not acknowledge them. We have an instinctive urge to preserve our own species. That is why men ought to work for posterity. We have no instinctive urge to keep promises or to respect individual life. That is why scruples of justice and humanity, in fact the Tao, can be properly swept away when they conflict with our real end, the preservation of our species. That, again, is why the modern situation permits and demands a new sexual morality. The old taboos serve some real purpose in helping to preserve the species, but contraceptives have modified this and we can now abandon many of the taboos. For the course of sexual desire, being instinctive, is to be gratified whenever it does not conflict with the preservation of the species. It looks, in fact, as if an ethics based on instinct will give the innovator all he wants, and nothing that he does not want. In reality, we have not advanced one step. I will not insist on the point that instinct is a name for which we know not what. To say that migratory birds find their way by instinct is only to say that we do not know how migratory birds find their way. Yeah, basically, just to summarize, what he's basically saying here is that, I'll put it in different words. The excuse of instinct as describing literally everything is a cop-out. Because there's no thing I can dig into your brain and say, oh, this little neuron here is your instinct. I mean, granted, you can pull things like where your senses are. Also, thank you for the pats. Who gave pats today? Ferryman, got you. But there's no, like, where I could dig into your brain, or as the saying goes in neurology, I can't dig into your brain and find which neuron is the code for knowing Shakespeare, right? I can't dig into your brain and say this is where your human instinct for lust is. Well, actually, I mean, you can argue chemicals, but actually wasn't a good example. But anyways, I digress. Let's continue on. Although, granted, there is the argument with instincts here, more my knowledge, though. This all assumes that there is no such thing as ancestral memory, and that's a big topic that a lot of, in almost every field, does not want to talk about. Because if ancestral memory is a thing between animals and humans, that's a big can of worms that goes in the face of a lot of institutions. Anyways, that's just my own ramble of things I've learned in the last few years of reading, but I digress. Anyways, for I think it is here being used in a fairly definite sense to mean an unreflective or spontaneous impulse widely felt. Why it's a lot to learn. Yes, well, the thing is like, I could summarize it very quickly, but the thing is that, and it very easily, it's just that it's not anything I'm going to be spouting to the rooftops like this is the truth, right? Because you'll get a lot of critics, you'll get a lot of disagreement, and it just becomes pointless at that point. From what I've read and what I've been shown, mainly just reading into psychology and such, there is there's epigenetics, right? Where it's been so long since I have looked into it. It's been a very long time, so I can't remember the exact specifics, but there is to some degree a form of memory that does transfer possibly genetically. There's also suggestions, if you go even crazier, this one is where you get into the weird side. There's even suggestions that it could even spread panpsychically. And there's no panpsychism, as it means literally everything is conscious. It's just different forms of consciousness. Be it a rock is not very active, but then you have like a human. But there was some work by Rupert Sheldrake that suggests I would not go purely on him. There's other scientists I recalled we looked at that were a lot more credible than Rupert Sheldrake, but Sheldrake is the starting off point, but he starts with the weird stuff of like ESP phenomenon and such, where there's a suggestion that groups of people across long distances could also learn things faster. So put it this way, if I learn, let's say we have completely two tribal cultures, right? East, like one's in the Americas, one's in, say, we'll just say Asia for shits and giggles, we'll say Asia. And one of them learns how to build pyramids. Well, if the theory is correct, then it means the other one, even though they have no contact or whatsoever, also will if they were to start learning how to build pyramids, say, now the question is they have to start doing it, they won't just automatically do it. But if they start trying to learn how to build pyramids, they will learn it a lot faster than the previous civilization in a form of kind of like collective consciousness sort of thing. Because they did the experiments with rats through mazes. They also did it in, I can't remember, there's been a few other things they looked at. The composition of a new element. When a new element is discovered, it's harder to create it at first, but then it gets easier and easier. Now some people chalk that up to okay, well, the scientific method just gets better and better after they know how to synthesize it. But I don't remember what it was. It's been so long since I looked into it. But that's not the case. I use the rats as the example because it's the easier one to describe, but there's a lot of other things in physics that also have a similar thing. So the rats, they would take rats in, say, the UK, and there'll be rats in Australia. They have no genetic connection whatsoever. They're not related, not blood related, besides the fact that they're rats. No common ancestry in that degree. And they chose, like, having a bunch of different rats. They chose the rats that, by whatever method they determined were, like, of average intelligence among their rats, right? Well, what they did was, in the UK, they had the rats run through a maze, like, many times, like, a lot. Just typical rat maze, nothing crazy. And they got better and better, as expected. To where the rats got through the same maze like nothing. Like, if they put a new maze in front of them, they'll solve the maze a lot faster than previously. Well, then they do do it in Australia, and it turns out that those rats start as slow as the previous rats did, but they start learning it faster and faster. And keep in mind, when they tested these rats, as far as they could discern, they're of similar intelligence for rats. But they do the test again, I forget where, and I think it was somewhere in South America, and they get the same results. But because the new South American rats learned even faster than the Australian rats. They start slow, but then they learn faster than the Australian rats that learned it. Again, there's a lot more to it, but I remember the statistics of it. They're running the numbers of the odds of that happening, and the odds were extremely low. I don't remember. Don't quote me on this. You'd have to look into it yourself. I've been wanting to go and if I didn't have to worry about copyright, I would pull back those old books and I would read them on stream. But copyright problems. That's why I'm reading this book, because I don't know if this book's out of copyright necessarily, but I don't think it's really a big one that really anybody would give a shit me reading. So, I believe it is on public domain, I believe. So, anyways, I digress. There's a lot of weird shit that you can get into with all that, but I'm not going to worry about it. I think it was River Sheldrake was the weird one, but there was another guy. He was talking about how you can mentally induce changes in somebody's DNA by their state of mind. I don't remember what it is, though. I forget what the fuck his name. I have a book here. Oh, let me see. Maybe I can find his name. Hold on, because I do have a bunch of books just sitting around here. Online schooling. Oh, that's art school. Psychology. No, I don't know where my books are. Lost Vehicle, no. Damn, I don't remember where my books are. I had to find it. I had them organized by their author's name. And if I saw the name, I would know who it is. If I saw the name, I'd be like, oh, that's the guy. But I don't remember what the name was. But no, it's an interesting thing to look into. But anyways, I'm moving on. In what way does instinct, thus conceived, help us find real values? Is it maintained that we must obey instinct, that we cannot do otherwise? But if so, why are green books and the like written? Why this stream of exhortation to drive us where we cannot help going? Why such praise for those who have submitted to the inevitable? Or is it maintained that if we do obey instinct, we shall be happy and satisfied? But the very question we are considering was that of facing death, which, so far as the innovator knows, cuts off every possible satisfaction. And if we have an instinctive desire for the good of posterity, then this desire, by the very nature of the case, can never be satisfied, since its aim is achieved, if at all, when we are dead. It looks very much as if the innovator would have to say, not that we must obey instinct, nor that it will satisfy us to do so, but that we ought to obey it. Basically what he's implying here, if you want to argue that everybody's just instinct, and you want to argue values, because they always think, like, if we're talking like traditional values in the West, like rejecting instinct is what somebody ought to do. Now, not that I agree with that, but there's a whole nuance to that, but we're just looking at the arguments here, to give an example. So in the same way, they like say, okay, you're lusting for somebody, you ought, and they're already with somebody else. You ought to not lust for them or try to resist lusting for them. So you know what I mean? You don't want to be a homewrecker, right? But if all what he's arguing here though is if all morality or he's basically countering a certain point that the Green Book, so to speak, kind of tries to make, which is instinct being at the core of a lot of things, right? Or basically what term would I refer to it as? The nothing butism. I say this sometimes. The nothing butism. Like somebody makes an argument and you go, oh, that's nothing but this, and it just shoves the point to the side, doesn't actually address the point. What he's arguing is the nothing butism of describing all morality being a part of instinct, right? And what C.S. Lewis here is arguing, like, well, if it's all part of instinct, then how does death apply to it, of somebody sacrificing themselves, right? Like, where does that come from, right? Now, you could argue maybe it's genetic. There are a lot of personality traits that are affected genetically. It could, evolutionarily speaking, could be the case that the individuals in that genetic line who will sacrifice themselves for the greater good of the genetic line, by whatever way you want to describe that, those are the ones that went on to reproduce and carry on. But then the argument could also be made, well, logically, those people would have died because they killed themselves, and then there wouldn't be anybody who was self-sacrificing at all if it was purely genetic. But I digress. But the other part is that, but what C.S. was put here, though, is, okay, well, if it's all nothing but of instinct, then you still have to put forth an ought of to not obey or to obey instinct. Or put it this way, I'll use Christian terms, it's a lot easier. So in Christian terms, say you're a Christian, I ought to follow the teachings of, say, Jesus, but you stray away by whatever thing. You ought to do it. It doesn't guarantee you will do it. Well, what he's arguing here is that, okay, well, if all these values come from instinct, then you ought to just obey instinct and nothing else. But the problem is that the very fact that I have to put an ought and not an is tears it out as a argument. Because you're suggesting choices. And you have to choose which choices are optimal. But I digress. Moving on. But why ought we to obey, and he actually goes on to here, but why ought we to obey instinct? Is there another instinct of a higher order directing us to do so? And a third of a still higher order directing us to obey it? An infinite regress of instinct? This is presumably impossible, but nothing else will serve. From the statement about psychological fact, I have an impulse to do so, and so, we cannot by any ingenuity, I don't know why I can't read today, ingenuity derive the practical principle, I ought to obey this impulse. Even if it were true that men had a spontaneous, unreflective impulse to sacrifice their own lives for the preservation of their fellows, it remains a quite separate question whether this is an impulse they should control or one they should indulge. For even the innovator admits that many impulses, those which conflict with the preservation of the species, have to be controlled. And this admission surely introduces us a yet more fundamental difficulty. Telling us to obey instinct is like telling us to obey people. People say different things, so do instincts. Our instincts are at war. They are. If you ever pay attention to yourselves, you have a lot of desires that are in conflict of each other. A lot of people do. Anyways, going on. If it is held that instinct for preserving the species should always be obeyed at the expense of other instincts, whence do we derive this rule of precedence? To listen to that instinct speaking in its own cause and deciding it in its own favor would be rather simple-minded. Each instinct, if you listen to it, will claim to be gratified at the expense of all the rest. By the very act of listening to one rather than the others, we have already prejudged the case. If we did not bring to the examination of our instincts a knowledge of their comparative dignity, we could never learn it from them. And that knowledge cannot itself be instinctive. The judge cannot be one of the parties judged, or, if he is, the decision is worthless, and there is no ground for placing the preservation of the species above all self-preservation or sexual appetite. Alrighty, let's see here. The idea that, without appealing to any court higher than the instincts themselves, we can yet find grounds for preferring one instinct above its fellows dies very hard. We grasp at useless words. We call it the basic, or fundamental, or primal, or deepest instinct. It is of no avail. Either these words conceal a value judgment passed upon the instinct, and therefore not derivable from it, or else they merely record its felt intensity, the frequency of its operation, and its wide distribution. If the former, the whole attempt to base value upon instinct has been abandoned. If the latter, these observations about the quantitative aspects of a psychological event lead to no practical conclusion. It is the old dilemma, whether the premises already concealed in an imperative, or the conclusion remains merely indicative. Sorry for the hounds, not much I can do about them. Also, is this music a little loud? It seems... no, music should be okay. Alright. Finally, it is worth inquiry whether there is any instinct to care for posterity or preserve the species. I do not discover it in myself, and yet I am a man rather prone to think of remote futurity. A man who can read Olaf Stapleton... Get 1 second, everybody. We'll mute for a second. Alright, what does that have to do with the dogs? God damn it, hold on. Right, so we're back, although I fully expect the hounds to start barking here in like 5 seconds, because that's just how they work. They'll be quiet, you go up to them, they'll be shut up, they be quiet for a little bit, as soon as you walk away, they start barking again. Alright. Finally, it is worth inquiry whether there is any instinct to care for... Oh wait, no, we already got to... Where were we? Man who can read... Okay. Much less do I find it easy to believe that the majority of people who have sat opposite me in buses or stood with me in queues feel an unreflective oh my fucking god, these goddamn hounds. We'll be right back, people. I'm gonna wait for the hounds to calm the fuck down. Like, every fucking time I'm trying to do these readings, and then the hounds just lose their goddamn minds over some asinine thing. We'll be right back. Ice cream for ice cream, yes. Not drugs, ice cream for it. See, I eat the ice cream. Unfortunately, I can't get too loud right now. But if I could, I would be screaming right now, and I'm trying to resist it so much. It is. But... Okay, I did so much drugs that my game crashed. That's a lot of drugs.
Oh boy, I'm back to health. You fucked me back to health.
Indeed. Come here. I'm gonna join. I poop too.
Little privacy, please. Oh, okay. Well,
I'm here for
together.
the poop show.
Yeah,
Come on, get on here.
Go ahead, get it going.
We're
I paid good money for this.
Bionics, get in there. Let me shut the door.
I paid good money for this.
Yeah.
Have fun. Well, that's a lap dance right there. Outhouse lap dance.
On the shitter. Volunteer for Ouija board. You all go deal with Ghost. I'll go deal with Ouija board.
Oh no. Wait. Where are you going with it?
I'm going over here.
You don't want to be in the room where she's at?
I don't have to be. It's a Ouija board.
Alright.
Why would I have to be in the same room? I'm gonna break the Ouija board and make it hunt. We're looking for fingies? Do we just need fingies? I forgave you, Legion. You're good. Right, let's summon the ghost. Fuck you, ghost. We have to get away from here, though. I'm evil.
Well, Shark's dead.
Yes, my evil plan worked. Don't ever let the demon get the Ouija board.
Oh no. I don't know if I got an actual photo of it though. I did try.
Ah, my evil plans. Thank you. I already had one. Why didn't I use it? Alright. So we should be okay now. I mean, we're still getting a little bit of barking, but it's not as bad as it was. So. Alright, continue where we were. Where were we? Alright. Much less do I find it easy to believe that the majority of people who have sat opposite me in buses or stood with me in queues feel an unreflective impulse to do anything at all about the species or posterity. Only people educated in a particular way have ever had the idea of posterity before their minds at all. It is difficult to assign to instinct our attitude towards an object which exists only for reflective men. What we have by nature is an impulse to preserve our own children and grandchildren, an impulse which grows progressively feebler as the imagination looks forward and finally dies out in the deserts of vast futurity. No parent who were guided by this instinct would dream for a moment of setting up the claims of their hypothetical descendants against those of the baby actually crowing and kicking in the room. Those of us who accept the Tao may, perhaps, say that they ought to do so. But that is not open to those who treat instinct as a source of value. As we pass from mother love to rational planning for the future, we are passing away from the realm of instinct into that of choice and reflection. And if instinct is the source of value, planning for the future ought to be less respectable and less obligatory than the baby language and cuddling of the fondest mother, or the most fortuitous nursery anecdotes of a doting father. If we are to base ourselves upon instinct, these things are the substance and care for posterity, the huge flickering shadow of the nursery happiness cast upon the screen of the unknown future. I do not say this projection is a bad thing, but when I do not believe that instinct is the ground for value judgments, what is absurd is to claim that your care for posterity finds its justification in instinct, and then flout at every turn the only instinct on which it could suppose to rest, tearing the child almost from the breast to crèche and kindergarten in the interest of progress and the coming race. Basically, the simple version, if you're basing more value on instinct, you may as well just trust the baby to determine your value judgments. And then, ironically, by doing this, they also argue against those value judgments for the baby. Because it's just feeling and doesn't matter. So, they have no ground to stand on, because they contradict both sides. Anyways, the truth finally becomes apparent that neither in any operation with factual propositions, nor in any appeal to instinct can the innovator find the basis for a system of values. None of the principles he requires are to be found there, but they are all found somewhere else. All within the 4 C's are his brothers, says Confucius in the Zhangzu. Is it Zhangzu or yes, Zhangzu. The Quor Gentile or gentleman. Humani nihil and me alienum puto, says the Stoic. Do as you would be done by, says Jesus. Humanity to be preserved, says Locke. All the practical principles behind the innovator's case for prosperity or society or the species are there from time immemorial in the Tao, but they are nowhere else. Unless you accept these without question as being the world of action, what axioms are to the world of theory, you can have no practical principles whatever. You cannot reach them as conclusions, they are premises. You may, since they can give no reason for themselves of a kind to silence Gaius and Titius, regard them as sentiments. But then you must give up contrasting real or rational value with sentimental value. All value will be sentimental, and you must confess, on pain of abandoning every value, that all sentiment is not merely subjective. You may, on the other hand, regard them as rational, nay, as rationality itself, as things so obviously reasonable that they neither demand nor admit proof. But then you must allow that reason can be practical, that an ought must not be dismissed because it cannot produce some of it as its credential. If nothing is self-evident, nothing can be proved. Similarly, if nothing is obligatory for its own sake, nothing is obligatory at all. To some it would appear that I have merely restored under the name which they emit by classical or fundamental instinct, but much more than choice of words is involved. The innovator attacks traditional values, the Tao, in defense of what he first supposes to be, in some special sense, rational or biological values. But as we have seen, all the values which he uses in attacking the Tao, and even claims to be substituting for it, are themselves derived from the Tao. If he had really started from scratch, from right outside the human tradition of value, no jugglery could have advanced him an inch towards the conception that a man should die for community or work for posterity. If the Tao falls, all of his own conceptions of values will fall with it. Not one of them can claim any authority other than that of the Tao. Only by such shreds of the Tao as he has inherited is he enabled to even attack it. The question therefore arises what title he has to select bits of it for acceptance and reject others. For if the bits he rejects have no authority, neither do those he retains. And if what he retains is valid, what he rejects is equally valid too. Basically, it's a very common argument in the West, excuse me, that a lot of moral values originate from, well, traditional Christianity for the most part. There are exceptions. There are exceptions. Especially, we use America as an example. A lot of American values come from, Protestantism, as well as, well, there's the Enlightened era, sure, but mainly from a mix of Protestantism and just generally the founding spirit of America in general. There's a lot of more values that people don't recognize with things. And I say this is especially a big problem in the modern era, is that a lot of these values also come with the land. Like the physical nature itself. I would argue a lot of, like, the fundamental values of America came from, we went to a fucking wilderness, everything was deadly. Well, maybe not everything, but it was very dangerous and deadly to be a pioneer of that sort. You need to protect yourself, you need to be able to, be independent and keep your own, you had to survive, basically. And when you're trying to survive, you have to be responsible for yourself. There's no lazy backing when you're trying to survive. And that founded a lot of the spirit of, say, America, for example. And the same thing applies to a lot of other nations. And the thing I see is, as time goes on and a nation becomes more and more modernized, I see that people become less and less connected to the land. That people can get back connected to the land, it's just, if we're going to be very modern with it, nobody can fucking afford land. Like, or that, or they're all limited to cities and they can't go out to, say, the countryside because their job's in the city or something. Because trust me, I think a lot of problems that people have in the modern age would be solved if people just, lived out in the country but somehow were still had access to all the amenities of cities. Happy Saturday. Your name is too dark. Casey, hello Casey. Welcome. Welcome. How are we, Casey? We're doing well. We're reading Abolition of Man as well as rambling about things. I see it's your first time chat here. Welcome, welcome. Give me 1 second, let me check something. Alright. But let's continue. Let's see, where were we? Alright, Alright, we gotta go down. The innovator, for example, rates high the claims of posterity. He cannot get any valid claim for posterity out of instinct, or, in the modern sense, reason. He is really deriving our duty to posterity from the Tao. Our duty to do good to all men is an axiom of practical reason, and our duty to do good to our descendants is a clear deduction from it. But then, in every form of the Tao which has come down to us, Side by side with the duty to children and descendants lies the duty to parents and ancestors. By what right do we reject one and accept the other? Again, the innovator may place economic values first. To get people fed and clothed is the great end, and in pursuit of its scruples about justice and good faith may be set aside. The Tao, of course, agrees with him about the importance of getting the people fed and clothed. Unless the innovator were himself using the Tao, he could never have learned such a duty. But side by side with it, the Tao lies those duties of justice and good faith, which he is ready to debunk. What is his warrant? He may be a jingoist, a racialist, an extreme nationalist who maintains that the advancement of his own people is the object to which all else ought to yield. But no kind of factual observation and no appeal to instinct will give him a ground for this option. Once more, he is in fact deriving it from the Tao, a duty to our own kin, because they are our own kin, is a part of traditional morality. But side by side with the Tao and limiting it lie the inflexible demands of justice, and the rule that, in the long run, all men are our brothers, which comes the innovator's authority to pick and choose. Basically, I'll have to go through here. We'll get back to that later. Since I can see no answer to these questions, I draw the following conclusions. This thing which I have called for convenience the Tao, and which others may call natural law or traditional morality, or the first principles of practical reason, or the first platitudes, is not among a series of possible systems of value. It is the sole source of all value judgments. If it is rejected, all value is rejected. If any value is retained, it is retained. Or if any value is retained, the Tao, is retained. The effort to refute it and to raise new systems of value in its place is self-contradictory. There has never been and never will be a radically new judgment of value in the history of the world. What purport to new systems, or as they now call them, ideologies, all consist of fragments from the Tao itself, arbitrarily wretched from the context in the whole, and then swollen to madness in their isolation, yet still owing to the Tao, and to it alone such validity they possess. If my duty to my parents is a superstition, then so is my duty to posterity. If justice is a superstition, then so is my duty to my country or my race. If the duty of scientific knowledge is a real value, or if the pursuit of scientific knowledge is a real value, then so is conjugal fidelity. The rebellion of new ideologies against the Tao is a rebellion of the branches against the tree. If the rebels could succeed, they would find that they had destroyed themselves. The human mind has no more power of inventing new value than of imagining a new primary color, or indeed of creating a new sun and a new sky for it to move in. Does this mean then that no progress in our perceptions of value can ever take place? That is, we are bound down to an unchanging code, given once and for all. I didn't read that right. That we are bound down to forever. Okay, that's why. For some reason, he puts. Hold on, let me check something real quick. Hold on. Do they have a random space here? Let me see. Yeah, for some reason they put a space between for and ever. I don't know, maybe it's an old wording or something, but they didn't put one word. That's what got me. Anyways, that we are bound down forever to an unchanging code given once and for all. And is it, in any event, possible to talk of obeying what I call the Tao? If we lump together, as I have done, the traditional moralities of East and West, the Christian, the pagan, the Jew, shall we not find many contradictions and some absurdities? I admit all this. Some criticism, some removal of contradictions, even some real development is required, but there are two very different kinds of criticism. A theorist about language may approach this negative tongue, as it were from outside, regarding its genius as a thing that has no claim on him, and advocating wholesale alterations of its idiom, and spelling in interest of commercial convenience or scientific accuracy. That is one thing. A great poet, who has loved and been well nurtured in his mother tongue, may also make great alterations in it, but his changes of the language are made in the spirit of the language itself. He works from within. The language which suffers has also inspired the changes. That is a different thing. As different as the works of Shakespeare are from basic English, it is the difference between alteration from within and alteration from without, between the organic and the surgical. In the same way, the Tao admits development from within. There is a difference between real moral advance and mere innovation. From the Confucian, do not do to others as you would not like them to do to you, to the Christian, do as thou would be done by, is a real advance. The morality of Nietzsche is mere innovation. The first is an advance because no one who did not admit the validity of the old maxim could see reason for accepting a new one, and anyone who accepted the old would at once recognize the new as an extension of the same principle. If he rejected it, he would have to reject it as superfluity, something that went too far, not as something simply heterogeneous from its own idea of value. But the Nietzschean ethic can be accepted only if we are ready to scrap traditional morals as a mere error and then put ourselves in a position where we can find no ground for any value judgments at all. It is the difference between a man who says to us, "You like your vegetables moderately fresh, why not grow your own and have them perfectly fresh?" and a man who says, "Throw away that loaf and try eating bricks and contipedes instead." The simple way Lewis is going through here is that a lot of throwing out of values means he's arguing that a lot of moral values come from a similar core. It depends. It does get a little shaky here a little bit, but let's continue. Those who understand the spirit of the Tao and those who have been led by that spirit can modify it in directions which the spirit itself demands. Only they can know what those directions are. The outsider knows nothing about the matter. He attempts at alteration, as we have seen, contradict themselves, so far from being able to harmonize discrepancies in the letter by penetration into its spirit. He merely snatches at some one precept on which the accidents of time and place happen to have riveted his attention, and then rides it to death, for no reason that he can give. From within the Tao itself comes the only authority to modify the Tao. This is what Confucius meant when he said, "With those who follow a different way, it is useless to take counsel." This is why Aristotle said that only those who have been well brought up can usefully study ethics. To a corrupt man, the man who stands outside the Tao, the very starting point of his science is invisible. He may be hostile, but he cannot be critical. He does not know what is being discussed. This is why it is also said, "This people that knoweth not the law is accursed. He half believeth not shall be damned." An open mind in questions that are not ultimate is useful, but an open mind about the ultimate foundations, either of theoretical or practical reason, is idiocy. If a man's mind is open on these things, let his mouth at least be shut. He can say nothing on the purpose. Outside the Tao, there is no ground for criticizing either the Tao or anything else. In particular instances, it may, no doubt, be a matter of some delicacy to decide whether the legitimate internal criticism ends and the fatal external kind begins. But wherever any precept of traditional morality is simply challenged to produce its credentials, as though the burden of proof lie on it, we have taken the wrong position. The legitimate reformer endeavors to show that the precept in question conflicts with some precept which its defenders allow to be more fundamental, or that it does not really embody the judgment of value it professes to embody. The direct frontal attack, "Why? What good does it do? Who said so?" is never permissible, not because it is harsh or offensive, but because no values at all can justify themselves on that level. If you persist in that kind of trial, you will destroy all values, and so destroy... Hello. Welcome back, Lichart. Welcome back. If you persist on that kind of trial, you will destroy all values, and so destroys the basis of your own criticism as well as the thing criticized. You must not hold a pistol to the head of the Tao, nor must we postpone obedience to precept until its credentials have been examined. Only those who are practicing the Tao will understand it. It is a well-nurtured man, the cor gentile, I'm not sure, it's Latin, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, and he alone who recognizes reason when it comes. It is Paul the Pharisee, a man perfect as touching the law, who learns where and how that law is deficient. In order to avoid misunderstanding, I may add, though I myself am a theist, and indeed a Christian, I am not here attempting any indirect argument for theism. I am simply arguing that if we are to have values at all, we must accept the ultimate platitudes of practical reason as having absolute validity. That any attempt have become skeptical about these to reinforce value lower down on some supposedly more realistic basis is doomed. Whether this position implies a supernatural origin for the Tao is a question I am not here concerned with. Let me get a second. Alright, let's give a second to think here. We've got that for a minute. So it seems at the core. Now, the reason why Lewis uses the term the Tao is because he isn't a Christian apologist, mind you. But he's trying to avoid like hard, like sure he mentions here and there, but he mentions it as a similar quote to other ethics and such as well. He's not putting it above or anything. He's just putting it as looking at them all. But he uses the Tao, so he doesn't have to, because he's trying to explain the Tao as sort of an intuitive but learnt. Especially if you look at like Lao Tzu, his writing, or even Confucius himself, the middle way, as it's said. But he uses the Tao because what he's trying to do is say, hey, you can explain the Tao. The way he's using this, you can explain Tao in the question: why have moral values at all? That's what it is. That's what is the Tao, as far as I can discern here. And basically, if you're questioning why we should even have moral values at all, then you can't argue to have moral values. Because if you question whether or not moral values are moral, then by definition you cannot be moral. If you agree that there should be moral values. And later, not in this chapter, but in the later chapters, where he'll go on, it's like, okay, well, let's look at the logic of a person who questions whether there should be moral values at all. More traditional values, whatever, and just take it to its logical conclusion of what happens. And he does, if I recall, I could be wrong, I do recall, but later in this book he fucking hammers at it. The last chapter I recall is the strongest chapter, but here the first 3 chapters of him basically setting everything up for the punchline, so to speak. But let's go through here. We only have like 2 paragraphs left, so we'll go ahead and move. Yet how can the modern mind expect to embrace conclusion that we have reached? This Tao, which it seems we must treat as an absolute, is simply a phenomenon like any other. The reflection upon the minds of our ancestors of the agricultural rhythm in which they lived, or even of their physiology. We know already in principle how much things are produced. Soon we shall know in detail. Eventually we shall be able to produce them at will. Of course, while we did not know how minds were made, we accepted this mental furniture as a datum, even as a master. But many things in nature which were once our masters have become our servants. Why not this? Why must our conquests of nature stop short in stupid reverence before this final toughest bit of nature which has hitherto been called the conscience of man? You threaten us with some obscure disaster if we step outside it, but we've been threatened in a way by obscurantists, that every step in our advance, and each time the threat has proved false. You say we shall have no values at all if we step outside the Tao. Very well, we shall probably find that we can get on quite comfortably without them. Let us regard all ideas of what we ought to do simply as an interesting psychological survival. Let us step right out of all that and start doing what we like. Let us decide for ourselves what man is to be and make him into that, not on any ground of imagined value, but because we want him to be as such. Having mastered our environment, let us now master ourselves and choose our own destiny. This is a very possible position, and those who hold it cannot accuse of self-contradiction like the half-hearted skeptics who still hope to find real values when they have debunked the traditional ones. This is the rejection of the concept of values altogether. I shall need another lecture to consider it. Okay, now it's coming back to me. I remember this. So, what he's going to go to, well, now mind you, we're at the end of this chapter, so we're going to be done reading for the day, but what he will start going into, because C.S. Lewis really talked about, like, scientism, in the sense of what it, like, with, I could use the quote, we have guided missiles but misguided men. And anybody who pays any at all attention to what goes on in the world, you know damn well that technology is outpacing way too quickly on multiple dimensions. AI, biological weapons, drones, and such like that. It's insane, and we can clearly see what happens when you have a whole cast of people who have no regard for human life or the fellow man and what the end result is, plus nukes on top of all of that. Now, what we can put on top of that is what he starts going into, because I don't know if he mentions it explicitly in this book or if it's casually mentioned later in lectures, where think about genetics, right? Genetic engineering. You know, we can genetically modify people to be extremely smart, talented, and so on. Actually, no, I can go. There is a Twilight Zone. I think it's Twilight Zone. there's it might be Twilight Zone or something else, but there's a Twilight Zone episode, or whatever else it may be, where it is a future where scientists have determined that for male and female, there are only 16 body types that are viable in terms of, like, they're objectively the most beautiful, the most smart, and everything, and they've reduced it down like, all right, well, there's only 16 body types that are viable, and they have a machine that when you want to become perfect, you have to go through this machine and you become this perfect body type, right? And when people come of a certain age, they're forced to go through this because objectively, there's no reason not to do it because you're going to be less intelligent than people, you're going to have a slow reaction time, you're not going to be as beautiful, you're just not going to be as successful, right? And there's a girl who is resisting, she doesn't want to become, she, you know, is like, my uncle told me that it's our, you know, our faults that make us different and so on. And the scientist says, well, no, that's nonsense, get in the machine. You know, become one of the 16 body types and become a clone of literally everybody else. Well, in the C.S. Lewis's case, he also I think it was a lecture he points out, I don't know if he points out in this book, but basically that, so we have to genetically engineer people. Okay, there's obvious things that you could probably genetically engineer that everybody would agree are good, right? You know, you want everybody to be very intelligent, you want everybody to be beautiful in some way, you know, good height, good, not any debilitating diseases. Okay, sure, fair enough. But then you start getting into other things, like, well, here's a big controversial, if we want to go into controversy, when it comes to how they look. Now, don't take this the wrong way when I say this, just bear with me here. What skin color? We're not talking about, we're literally just talking aesthetics here. Like, what skin color? If we were to genetically modify and create perfect people, quote unquote, like in terms of high IQ, you know, just high IQ, strong, so on. And when we're talking skin, we're just talking aesthetics. We're talking purely aesthetics, right? Or what should we do? What would be the beautiful person? Like, what are they going to look like? You know, if we could genetically modify people. Now, granted, to be fair though, I think if we're let's move away from moral values and just go into just general talk about genetic modification. Obviously, if it's stuff that has to be done while the baby's in the womb, or maybe you have to do some kind of contraception of maybe modifying sperm and egg so that way when they can join, then it creates that child. Whatever the case may be. I know there's CRISPR where you can so that there actually is a technology called CRISPR that you can modify DNA even as you're older. It's just obviously there's things that are harder to modify, like you can't really change your height, or I don't know if you can change skin. I think you can change eye color. I think you can change eye color with it. I don't know if you can change skin color with it, or like a hair color or something. You might be able to change hair color. I would presume you probably could change hair color. I'm not sure, but the point is though is, okay, well, these companies make these create these forms of genetic engineering. Who determines what is put into it? Because ignore like America or Western country, although I'm not getting authoritarian to a degree. Look at like more authoritarian countries and say they had access to like genetic engineering, right? And they create the perfect civilian. It's completely in the power of the government, and they have to create the perfect civilian. Well, then all moral values and how people look become a diktat of the government itself, or whoever creates it. But then the question comes up of who guards the guards. Like, what informs these people of what the best thing should be? And in the modern time, what it ends up being is just whatever the fuck benefits me. Do I want to make the common masses? Do I want to do what's that book called? It's not Brave New World. Is it Brave New World? And there's Animal Farm. I think it's Brave New World. It might be Brave New World, where they have different classes of people that they genetically modify. And the authoritarian system in that book, if I'm thinking of the correct one, basically has it to where they don't, to reproduce, you have to have permission. You have to have permission. Well, actually, I think they even prevent reproduction in general. I think they make everybody infertile, because they just make everybody through cloning vats and shit. And what they do is, they determine, okay, we only need this many plebeians in our society, so we're only going to genetically engineer a few plebeians. They're perfect in every way except they're stupid. We genetically modify them to be stupid. so that way we can control them no matter what, right? And then we have these other people that are the same thing, except they're geniuses. They're absolute geniuses, because we only need like a handful of them. Well, you get what I'm saying here, is who determines who does what. My job being very broad with it, but anyways. But no, that was chapter 2 of Abolition of Man. We'll go a lot more into it on the next one. Chapter 3 is literally called Abolition of Man, so I'm pretty sure that one's going to go into it. But let's go ahead and we are going to switch over to pixel art. So we'll be right back while I get that sorted.
Ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream. Ice cream. See, I eat the ice cream. I don't like I can do that. But if I was screaming right now, trying to resist it so much. But hey, I have so much drugs that my games crash. A lot of drugs.
Hey.
Oh boy, I'm back to health. You fucked me back to health.
Indeed.
Little privacy, please. Oh, okay. We'll
I'm here
keep
for the
together.
poop show.
Yeah.
Come on, get on here.
Go ahead,
We're
get
here
it
for the
going.
shit
I paid good money for this.
Bionics, get in there. Let me shut the door.
I paid good money for this.
Have fun. Oh, that's a lap dance right there. House lap dance.
On the shitter.
Okay, that was weird.
I'll go deal with Ouija board.
Oh no. Wait. Where are you going with it?
I'm going over here.
You don't want to be in the room where she's at?
I don't have to be. It's a Ouija board.
Alright.
Why would I have to be in the same room? I'm gonna break the Ouija board and make it hunt. You're looking for fingies? Do we just need fingies? I forgave you, Legion. You're good. Right, let's summon the ghost. Fuck you, ghost. Got to get away from here, though. I'm evil.
Well, Shark's dead.
Yes, my evil plan works. Don't ever let the demon get the Ouija board.
Oh no. I don't know if I got an actual photo of it. I did try.
Ah, my evil plans. Thank you. I already had one. Why didn't I use it? I always forget I have those incendiaries for some reason. No, you're stupid. Screw you, Nugget. You're stupid. I am all the smarts. See, look, I shoot him in the face as I miss 5 shots in a row and stare her in her loving eyes and as she strangles me. Come here. No. Take me for the chainsaws. Boulder Dash. No. Yes. Get him, Boulder Dash. Ah. Yes. 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 Boulder Dash MVP. Boulder Dash. Have you never leave my side ever? If he comes, because he's gonna come back if he knows what he's doing. He's gonna come back and he's gonna get me. So if I wasn't wounded, I'm gonna try to be funny. I do a dance. I do a dance. Oh, okay. Did I please my master, Daddy Pyramid Head? Yes. Yes. Oh. I must poke. Hold on, come here. I must poke you. Must touch the ass. Oh, come here. Hold on, stand still. Oh, scab it. Okay. Well, fine, we'll go. I'm gonna beat my ass, Daddy Pyramid Head. No. Ah, okay. Alright, Sudos.
One little pyramid head. Just radium do I have? 39. What the hell? Okay.
Did you get a legendary?
No. The grenade apparently just blew somebody up.
Alright.
The famous chef can finally come true. Right, Wobble Bell? What a tasty meal. Hello, puppy. Lingering smell of kitchen splatter. Don't run off again, Wobble Bell. Come here, boy. Puppy. Can I hit Puppy? Holy crap, I can kill Puppy. I can kill, yes. I can kill Puppy. I killed Puppy.
I did it. See, Jugger, you happy now? What the fuck? Jugger, I swear to God, Jugger, I swear to God if you kill me. Alrighty, we should be back. Let's just, adjust here. Bop. Be good. Alright, there we go. Get back to doing some ha. Let me just... I got some annoying adjustments I have to do. Which is unfortunate. Alright, so... I have to adjust... Oh. So here's the animation so far. Looking just fine. But I have to adjust this ear because it's facing the wrong way, and I can't just flip it, which is what really sucks. I can't just flip it because if I just flip it, it'd be pretty easy to fix. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty annoying. So what we need to do is, let me see. So that's gonna be straight forward. Well, hold on. God fucking damn it, hounds. 1 second. Alrighty, hopefully now they'll calm down for a little bit. Alright, so, onto art. So... yeah, well, actually no, we might not have to fix it. As a matter of fact, what we might do is... hold on, let me... let's see... put these two in a group real quick. Good an arm. Put those in a group so that are easier to manage. What we want to do, let's hide this real quick. Should be forearm. Why is the fuck? What layer is this on? And what's forearm 2? Oh, so... oh, it's because part of it's gonna be... god damn it, that's pretty annoying. I've done exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, buy you a lottery ticket, Glassman. How are we, Glassman? Welcome. Good to see you. It's doing well. How's the Amal modding going? How's the moderation going, Glass? I know y'all have had some weird stuff with the Discord lately. Let's see. Alright, I can maybe work around this by... I could grab maybe this here. Copy. God fucking hounds! Alright, back. Everybody went insane? I mean, feel free to share details, as long as it's not something I'll get me banned on Twitch talking about, because I know how crazy it gets on there. Oh, why are my eyes fucked up? What the hell? Oh, my eyes are fucked up. Why are my eyes fucked up? Oh, it does, because I'm angry. That's why. I wasn't there yesterday stream because of you. 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. That's unfortunate. I hope the amount deer is handling it well. I know it's unfortunate she has to disappear from her Discord. Well, if you ever end up talking to her again, tell her she has my regards. Let's see. I sent a message, but I don't expect a reply because she's a busy deer. Let's see. Boop, boop. Let's see. But I hope you're doing better today, Glass. Alright, anyway, so I grabbed that. What I need to do is come over here. I gotta hide this gun. Hold on. Where is the... hide that. So I can see this ear. Well, the ear does kind of have it. It's just... yeah, that ear's probably better. The Discord server talked about a very not good man with a... oh, okay. Got you. I got you. Alright, so what I'm going to try to do here... it's going to be a little annoying because I have to play around. Don't get myself out, you. We're doing good. We're getting the QR. Look how adorable. Look how adorable Isabelle is. Isabelle's adorable. If you don't agree that Isabelle's adorable, get the fuck off this stream. Ignore the little ear blip. That's just a temporary blip. But anyways, let's see. So that okay. So for me to save some space here and not have to mess with this ear, because I'd rather not have to redraw it. What I can do instead is just poof it. Now you're not really going to see this one, but I'm going to poof this one out a little bit with this ear. Now again, you're not really going to see it because the gun's blocking it. But if we take this here, if you do put it there, it is a lot more visible. Like it poofs out a bit more. So we're going to do that. I do need to clean up a little bit though, because what we need to do is get rid of all the edge red that we do not need. And then we have to come in and modify it, and then loop it through all the frames. It's gonna be annoying though, because the ear does have, it sways, and there's a lot of stuff we have to edit here. Welcome back, Echo Crow, you little cutie. Welcome back. I know you like hopping in and hanging, and I appreciate you for it. I always like having the ears to pop in just with the hang. Makes surprise people want to come in here and chit chat. Let's see. I gotta hide her gun. Alright, let's move that one. I could make a separate layer for it, that way it's a little easier to manage. Maybe like somewhere around there. To be fair, I don't really see that much, but... because the idea here is that... because if... well, hold on, let me look at the... I might thicken that one a little more. Yeah, like thicken this side here. Just a little bit. Because you're going to be turning your head to the side so you can see it a bit more. If my tablet would work. Tablet? Hello? Tablet? Are you going to work? What the fuck? I think Windows broke my tablet. Hold on. I hate Windows so goddamn much. Heads up, there's a chance we could crash. Is my tablet going to work? Okay, now it's working. Because when I first plugged it in while we were BRB, it was like my entire system just froze for like no reason. I can still hear audio, but my system just froze for no reason, and it was weird. Oh, and also, Glassman, though, you did miss the reading, though. You're reading C.S. Lewis's Abolition of Man. So you did miss that. Oh my god, why is this... Why is... God damn it. Do I have to mess with my settings? Did it make my tablet more sensitive? Hold on. Oh god, my fucking... Hold on. I hate Windows! I hate it so fucking much! I fucking hate Windows. Let me see. Why am I able to go into the other... God damn. So apparently when I plugged it in, it did something to where Windows just changed my tablet settings, and I have no idea where to set it back. Because my tablet's only supposed to be on one window. It's not supposed to also go to my other window. Because if your tablet also goes to your other window, you have half your tablet, and that's a no-go. So I have no idea what is going on here. And like I'm in the settings right now, and the settings say that it is... Hold on. My buttons on the tablet aren't even working. This is a similar problem I've been having with my VR, is that my tracker won't work. I really hope it's not a case where I gotta reset everything. Because like shit like this happens and I have to just restart my entire thing. And like it seems so far it's a case where I basically have to do a fresh Windows install to fix all these problems. But the problem is that... Oh my god, this is so fucking bad. I don't know if I can do art. Oh my god. What's funny is if I plug this into if I switch over to my Linux system... Oh, look, okay, you know what? I can't do art right now. This is so dumb. I can't do art right now. Because I could use mouse and keyboard, but... Here's the thing. I would be streaming with Linux. Because I actually like Linux. I like Linux Mint. I like it a lot, and it's really good. I highly recommend, if you ever switch to Linux and you want to give Windows a middle finger, especially because Windows 10 is going to be no longer supported this year, later this year, Windows 10 is not going to be supported anymore, even though it's the most popular OS right now. Because they want to force you into Windows 11 so they can shove AI up your ass. They get a nice big dildo named AI, and they just ram it up there, right? So the reason why I don't do purely on my Linux is because, well, VR chat for one. Although, I hear there are ways you can set it up so you can play VR chat on Linux. But I haven't bothered with it. I do need to find that out, though. I'm worried about optimization, but generally I need to upgrade my system in general anyway, so it's not too big of a deal. No, this is bad because I can't... So this is a similar problem I've had with my VR. So what happens in my VR is I have full body tracking, and let me try something real quick. What if maybe it's my hub? If I unplug, which one's my hub? That's my hub. All right, so unplug that and plug it back in. Let's see what happens. It's still going over there. Oh god, fucking damn it. The unfortunate thing is I may end up having to just start streaming on my Linux, because Windows is just being so unstable, and I really don't feel like reinstalling my operating system because I'd have to fuck around with so many things. Doesn't mess with my drives, fortunately, but I may actually have to reinstall Windows at some point. Because what happens is, during stream, I plugged it in, and then my entire thing froze, except I could hear audio. Suddenly started working again, and now when I get on my tablet, half the tablet is on my other screen. So I have literally half a tablet I can work with here. And it's not just the size either, it's that if you're working with half a tablet, your sensitivity is higher, so I'm not used to it. God damn. Alright, let me just get to a point where I can save, and I guess we'll play a game or something. I'll find a game to play. I'll just save here. I'll be right back. We're going to switch to a video game. They still the fucking Windows breaks another peripheral of mine. No, because what it is I don't know why, but Windows had a thing where it updated, and now I cannot update my Windows. I mean, I can, but like, especially if I do it manually. But whenever it updates, it'll finish updating, and so, oh, sorry, we couldn't get the updates. We're going to revert to the previous thing, and it never properly updates. But Windows keeps shoving updates in my face. I don't know if it's a driver issue or what. So unfortunately, this will have to delay. The art will get done at some point. Don't worry. I can just switch to my Linux. My Linux, I should have I have no problems whatsoever with my Linux at all. I love my Linux. If Vtuber Studio, let me make this clear. So I'm gonna go just chatting. I'm in a chatting mode. We're gonna chat for a little bit, then I might play a game. Because I'm in the middle of the bitch. Because I am in a bitchy mood right now because of I hate Windows so much. I fucking hate Windows. Where's my chatting? Alright, so anyways, I fucking hate Windows. So anyways, alright, so we're on a ramble here. Oh, I gotta switch one. I gotta switch my category. I'm changing my title too. I hate Windows. That's my new title. Alright, anyways. No, I fucking hate Windows. Oh, maybe I should modify myself here. Give me 1 second. Pop, pop, pop. I fucking hate Windows. Because it's clear that Microsoft is adding more and more bloatware to their systems. They're trying to shove AI in everybody's face. Or I can just play Linux Mint, which is better, in my opinion, better than Windows. It's just the only limitation to Windows Mint is, for me personally, Vtuber Studio and VR Chat, because of VR systems in general, don't run natively on Linux, and that's my one problem with them. There are ways around it. You can play them. You just have to install a few things. And I do want to experiment to get that to work. Because if I can get it to work, guess what? I'm not using Windows again. They can suck my dick. Because every single program I have here on Windows that I use, besides Vtuber Studio and VR Chat, all work on Linux natively. I don't have to do like Wine or Proton or anything. They all work on Linux. If you want to switch to Linux, I highly, 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 highly recommend Linux Mint. Linux Mint. It is so good. I love Linux Mint. No, and it's customizable as hell. And you don't have to be tech savvy for it. Just make sure you get your graphics drivers thing sorted. That's the only thing you really have to keep in mind is getting graphics drivers sorted. But once you get that sorted, you're good to go because they'll update them up automatically and have everything good. Mainly for NVIDIA. I heard AMD is native to Linux, so AMD might not have a problem. But if you do with NVIDIA, then yes. Although I do hear, I had a chat with a guy on VR Chat once, where he was talking about, because I was talking about graphics cards and what to update my graphics card for VR Chat, and he says that, he says there's an AMD or Red series or something, some like graphics card's not as well known, but apparently it's really, really good for VR Chat, because the main thing about VR Chat is it's VRAM intensive, for video RAM. So what happens is with VRAM, you can load more models and shit, like properly without crashing. And keep in mind, my graphics card I have an old 1080 Ti, and it only has, I don't know how the fuck it lives on this. It has only 2 gigs of video memory, video RAM, VRAM. I don't know how the fuck I play modern games. I do, and they work, but I have no fucking clue I play them. Like, I'm on the 1080 is on the edge where they're about to drop support for it. And let's go what lasted. I've been hearing the new 1080, it's like either 480 or 4080 or 4090. Somewhere, it's one of the higher 40s are the new 1080s. And I want one, but now they're expensive as fuck. I can get one if I wanted to, but that's not here nor there. That's for future. I'll worry about it later. But my next computer build, I do want to build a new computer. I'm going to keep my hard drives and stuff, except for my Windows hard drive. I'm going to keep my... Because I have 2 separate hard drives for my Linux, and I'm keeping them. I have no reason to get rid of them. So really, if I build a new computer, I don't need hard drives. I just plug and play those, and I'm good to go. Aside from, making sure my graphics card drivers are good. But the thing is that I fucking hate Windows. I really hate Windows. I wish that, and you got to give credit to Steam, Valve, because they're pushing gaming so hard, and they're trying to push Linux system and the Steam Deck so hard that now other game developers has to acknowledge it. They don't have to entirely though, because it has Proton. For those who don't know what Proton is for Linux, it basically lets you play almost any game on Linux, even if it's not Linux compatible. It's not perfect. For example, I tried to play the original Resident Evils on it, and I tried to play the original Resident Evils on it, and there was like a graphical error or something. I don't know how to fix that, so I can't play those. But it also runs things like, for example, you can play Helldivers 2 on it. For me, it was jittery, but I think it's because I have a shitty graphics card as well. But you can play Dead by Daylight runs on it, actually, surprisingly, and actually I didn't have much issue with it. I do know for some systems you do want to be careful with easy anti-cheat sometimes. I haven't heard anything bad if you're using Proton, but beyond that, you do have to be careful because sometimes in certain games the easy anti-cheat will detect, oh hey, this isn't Windows, they must be hacking, and then assume you're hacking. I haven't experienced it, but I've heard it's a possibility. Even though you're just playing it on Linux. Because what it is Proton, it's an in-between, it's a middleman between your operating... Because the best thing about Proton, so you got things like Denuvo and Easy Anti-Cheat. Don't quote me on this, but if I recall, Proton actually serves as a middleman where... Because people fucking hate Anti-Cheat and Denuvo because it's very invasive to computer. It goes basically to the root of your system, and that's very bad. Kernel 0, which is the core of your entire operating system. Well, with Proton, it acts as a spoof of Windows, so that Denuvo and Easy Anti-Cheat will just stop right there. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. For anybody who's more tech savvy, but if I'm correct, it stops at Proton because it takes Proton as your operating system. It thinks it's Windows, but it's not. It's Proton. And it'll just stay there. It won't go deeper into your system. You don't have to worry about problems. I've heard that Linux lately is... Because Linux generally is like the safest operating system because almost nobody makes viruses for it, for the most part. There are exceptions. Like, I know there's a lot of viruses for Linux servers because Linux is very popular as servers. But for home desktops, they're not. So it's not too common. Linux viruses are rare. But as of recently, however, they have started to develop Linux viruses because Linuxes have become more popular. Like they're actually getting, like, especially with the CrowdStrike, is it CrowdStrike, whatever the hell it is, the big security problem that Windows had like either a few months or a year ago. Yeah, so a huge share of Linux. Plus you have Steam Deck coming out, or it's already out actually, but the Steam Deck pushing forward, and or whatever the fuck it is they have. Steam has something. They have like a little handheld. It's kind of like a PC Switch, and it has Linux on it. By the way, side note on like Steam Deck and all that stuff, because it is Linux, you can download RetroArch, and if you can download RetroArch, you can play literally any old game, because it's all the games completely legitimately that you borrow from a friend and put into your Steam Deck. With the cartridge that you bought yourself in the 90s. Yeah, because that's how it is. Anyways, no, take my word for it. But no, I fucking hate Windows. Linux, like, you're never forced into updates. It's meant, at least, is extremely user friendly. If you get Linux, again, I keep saying, do Linux Mint. Linux Mint is pretty good. Especially if you're doing gaming. I hear people keep saying Pop is good for gaming, but I've heard meh things about Pop, and I just focus on Mint. It's pretty good. You can also down like these little things for it, where like if you wanted to, you could make your Linux Mint look like fucking Windows 7. Like it's so weird. I would almost do it for nostalgia purposes, but you know. Another side note, though, I've been messing with Newgrounds. I think I talked about this last time on stream. I've been messing with Newgrounds. I've been enjoying it because it reminds me of old internet. Because Newgrounds, old internet, let's say 2013 and earlier, to maybe like late 90s. Early internet was what you made of it, right? It's what you could find and who you chose to interact with. With old internet, you have to have an intent. Like, you have an intent of people to meet and what you want to do and create. Whereas current internet, for like at least the popular media sites, even Discord to a certain degree, Discord's a little different, but in the popular Discord, this is the case, where it's just a numbers game, because all the algorithms, non-Discord, all the like Twitter and stuff, all the algorithms are basically a Skinner's box. They're a variable Skinner's box, and because of that, what happens is, give me 1 sec. I'm gonna check something real quick. Give me 1 second, everybody. I just want to make sure there's nothing weird going on. Fuck is. Give me a moment. I'll have to look through that later. Anyways, where was I? So we have our Linux Mint. Where was I? Talking about Linux Mint. Oh, Newgrounds. Okay, but no, most social media sites are basically Skinner boxes. They make it where you gotta make content. You gotta make content. You gotta make content. Content. You gotta keep making it. If you stop it every 5 seconds, you lose. You drop out. Everybody forgets about you. You don't exist anymore. You're not a human being. Goodbye. Toodles. I hate that. I fucking hate it. And it is like they use psychologists to really, or at least originally they did when they created them. They use psychologists to determine these algorithms, and now they use AI to perfect them because the AI notices patterns. It's why half the time you tend to get shit that you don't actually care about because it's what a machine thinks you want when, you know, the machines have problem with hands, you know what I mean? Let's see, give me 1 second, but anyways, give me 1 second. Sorry, a little distraction. All right, but anyways, but I despise the algorithms. When I started doing Newgrounds and interacting with people, like it's not a big site. It's not nearly like its golden days back in the day, like early 2000s, maybe like right around 2010s, early 2010s, like say 2013 and earlier. Well, I'd say is the golden age of Newgrounds. My problem with big sites with the algorithm stuff is when I get on Newgrounds, even DeviantArt, I would say to a degree. Hi, Spotty. Hold on, I gotta give Spotty attention. How you doing, Spotty? Come here. You get your attention today. Come here. Spotty. Spotty gets all the attention. Now are we, Spotty? I hope you're doing good. We're ranting because I was doing art earlier, but my tablet broke. Well, the tablet itself, I believe, is fine. I'm going to test it here on my Linux after the stream, but I guarantee you it's Windows. I guarantee you it's not my tablet. I guarantee you it's Windows. 100%. But anyways. Because like I looked in my processes and it still said there was a tablet in, which is weird. Because I think it's the same thing that my trackers on VR got fucked up with, and I really think it's just there. I woke up a little ago. Oh, I hope you had a good sleepy. Hope you had a good sleepy, Dark Flame. Little Spotty. Always rooting for you, dear. But, no, but when the Newgrounds, though, it felt like old internet to where, like, I could potentially find my niche of people that I want to interact with. So when it comes to online stuff, I've actually been debating, because I know I've had a big turnaround with the new Discord and all that. I've been debating on rethinking the Discord again, maybe. Maybe not, I don't know. Or maybe just, I'm not going to change the Discord. I already changed it, got everybody moving. I'm not going to make them do it again. But it's hard to describe, because I've been debating on because with old sites, like, okay, I remember like what I like, why I'm on the internet and why I enjoy it. I mean, there's a lot of weird reasons, but the main reason though is that I can get on here and I can express myself, right, in ways that I can't really do in person, either because people just don't care about it, or like I think of a lot of topics and things that normies just either don't give a fuck about, or they get all rage baity about it. They get butthurt about certain topics. So I don't typically bring them up with random people. But here online, I could just ramble the random things, and the people will come to me. You know what I mean? Or post content and stuff. People find me. I don't have to worry about norms and shit that annoy me. Although a lot of people say I'm a strange person that has a lot of huge variety. Like, look, guys, we were just reading fucking C.S. Lewis, the Christian apologist. Here I am as a little fucking devil, right? We're reading C.S. Lewis, and I'm agreeing with a lot of his points. And then I turn around to make fucking art of fucking Isabelle. Like, furry art or something. Like, come on now. Come on. Like, you don't get it's wide range of interest than that. Like, come on. Like, I have a wide range of interest. With exception, I generally don't judge people. Like, I say this all the time. Well, with an asterisk next to me not judging people. There's an asterisk there. But, for example, I gave my Octo Glitchy Deers. I adore them. With say my modeler, Anne and Kyle. I adore them. Don't agree with them at all politically whatsoever. I do not. Well, there are a few things we can agree on. But overall, though, no. No, I completely don't agree with them. But that doesn't make me judge them in that regard. Like, you know, we still hang out. I still, you know, I still pop into their streams. We still interact with, like, games and stuff like that. We still interact, you know what I mean? Because I don't care what your views are. As long... My main thing that I would prefer... I mean, I don't know about the Autologous years, but my main thing I would prefer with people, though, if I could, like, pick and choose who my friends are... I mean, well, you can. You do pick and choose your friends. I mean, like if I create the perfect... friends, you know what I mean? Not that I don't love my current friends, I do, I love them to death. But if I could like pick the perfect friend, it'll be somebody who really just does not give a shit about what you do for the most part. What the fuck? Hold on a minute. Oh god, I'm not gonna unsee it now. Shit. I'm not gonna look at it. There's something weird about my hair, and I don't want to permanently see it, because if I see it, it's gonna start bugging me. But anyways, we'll move on from that. But I prefer people who have thick skin. Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you all right now. There are so many fucking babies on the internet. There really is. And I mean that in the derogatory term, not in terms of like minors or something. I mean like people who just, they can't take a joke. They forget. Although I think it's also an effect of people who were born like after 9/11. I think is what it is. People born after 9/11 don't... Well, they were around when the internet was more edgy, but it wasn't their primary memory. My primary memory with the internet was when the internet was really edgy. It just did not give a fuck. Nobody cared, because everybody knew that sticks and stones break my bones, but words will never hurt you, kind of thing. It's either that saying has basically disappeared from our lexicon. It's so weird. As far as I'm aware, how that phrase has just completely disappeared from our lexicon. You know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You know. You know, people need to learn how to take a joke and such. And honestly, the best communities I've been a part of have been the ones that just don't give a fuck. That have thick skin. Well, you know. Because you don't feel like you're walking on eggshells. Like, it's weird because a lot of the communities that claim to be... that I've seen... Let me put it this way when I talk about thick skin. So I'm going to talk about my experiences of digging through a lot of internet culture. In terms of, like, say, VR chat, Discords, groups, and so on, right? Now, there are times in servers where, like, okay, put this for example. Like, I have thick skin, I really don't give a fuck what you talk about. But, however, if you look at my rules, I have a thing, something along the lines, I have to paraphrase because I can't really look at it right now. But I have something along the lines of, you know, don't do anything that would divide people, right? What I mean in that regard is just don't give people on my chat, don't give me a hard time, because I don't want to have to moderate my chat against the TOS. I don't want to. I know Dark Flame's my mod, a lovely mod. But Dark Flame's not gonna be able to be here all the time. Nobody who is my mod could be here all the time. Then again, though, I'm not big, though. Like, I'm not big. I can easily moderate myself. It's just there are times where, like, say I'm playing Dead by Daylight or something, like a game you can't pause, and I have to stop what I'm doing and go moderate. But when it comes to, like, me being open to anybody express themselves in any way they want, there are instances where it's like, I don't mind, I don't care that you're saying that. It's just that I don't want people to, like, I don't want to, like, say a community become a shit-flinging contest. Like, people get arguments like politics and stuff like that, and some more edgy opinions. And then it eventually just turns into a big shit-flinging fuck show. It's like, it's great, I believe in freedom of speech, but can we stop turning this into a shit-flinging contest, please? I just want to find people that I can chill, do art with, hang out, and just have fun, you know? But generally, as long as people keep to their lanes, I'm all for free expression. But when it comes to other communities, though, and the other thing is, I found that if you want one thing for me to determine if a community actually truly does accept, like, you know, free expression and such like that, if it's a community that says that we're a tolerant community, they don't believe in expression. Almost like 80% of the time of the people I've interacted with. Like, I don't know if I can really give examples. I won't be able to give these examples here on stream, but if you talk to me in private, I can give perfect examples of a lot of things. Because the problem I have with these sort of things is, if you have, say, a group, and they are open to talking, like, we gotta talk philosophy, we're open to talk, we're totally open to talk politics, we're totally open, but then when you actually talk, it turns out their politics swing one way, right? That's when I'm a big no-no, like, no, you're all a bunch of hypocrites, goodbye. But, you know, then you have the communities who, okay, no political talk at all. That's A-okay, perfectly fine with that. No political talk at all. But they'll claim there's no political talk at all, but then you have somebody talk about politics, but because they agree with the politics, they let it slide. You know, stuff like that. It's... yeah, I watch out for those communities. But as far as internet communities in general, though, you kind of got to find your niche. Like, I personally don't care joining other communities for the most part. There are some exceptions here and there. I don't generally try to join other communities. Oh, excuse me. Because I don't know. I'm just rambling about nothing at this point. I'll be honest. I'm kind of rambling about nothing. Let's see here. So what should we get on to now? Give me 1 minute. We're rambling about communities. And like right now, I would love to do a VR chat stream, but again, my tracker, especially if my tablet's screwy, I'm pretty sure my tracker's gonna be screwy too, so. Oh wait, it did happen when I plugged in USB. I don't know if it's like maybe a USB connection problem or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. I hope not. I do have a lot of things plugged in. Let me see here. Give me 1 moment. Okay. Oh, okay, so we're gonna ramble about something else. We're talking about VR chat. So, funny thing about VR chat. So, VR chat recently released, finally, for fuck's sake, they finally released a 18+ verification. Like, it's official. Like, you can officially go on there. As long as you meet a certain criteria, you have to, it's through Persona. You show your you send your ID to Persona and you'll get verified. And they have confirmed, now whether you want to trust this entirely is up to you, but they have confirmed that the way VR chat does it is after you are confirmed to Persona, they directly request Persona to delete all information, and all they keep is the hash, which is irreversible, you can't actually get data from it. but it's a unique hash that identifies you, saying, hey, you are who you say you are, and your birthday. That's the only two pieces of data that it did say. They had to say the birthday because legally they have to at least have it on record, so that way they could show a legal officer, hey, this person is in fact 18, here's our proof on this account, right? So I got verified like immediately, and what's interesting, it verified pretty quickly actually. As soon as I submitted it, I got verified. And the thing is, though, you can actually start 18 plus public servers. Now you can't do anything spicy if they're public, obviously, but you know for a fact everybody there is an adult. So because I'll tell you right now, there's been like there are some servers I hear horror stories about, especially the more spicy ones, where you'll get a miner that sneaks into them lying about ages. And generally I try to stay away from those servers on VR where I can. The thing is, though, is like if you get verified, you can join 18 plus instances where only people who are verified can go. But the problem was, when I got on, I could only find 2. Out of the thousands of people in all the worlds and all the places in VR chat, I only found 2 servers. Like, hold on, let me see if I can find some numbers here. Hold on. Let me see here. We'll use Steam charts. Steam charts will be a good indicator here. So let's see here. God damn, it's a lot of people. Okay, so at least according to Steam charts, not counting like going through Oculus directly and stuff like that. So we're just looking at Steam. We have about 43,000 people right now, right? So 43,000. All right. So if we consider, let's say on the high end, each server, now this isn't exact, sometimes it's lower, but we'll just say the average is usually 40 max. So if we divide that by 40, and mind you, this would be the lower end, by the way. There could be more than this because it's rare that a server has exactly 40 people. So this is actually the lower end of possible worlds. So out of 1,000 worlds, and remember that number is actually a bit higher. I'd say at least 1,500 or way higher than that. I only found 2. I found 2 worlds that were gated to age verification only. Now, you do have to keep in mind, however, for these things, you have to keep in mind that, one, you have to have whoever owns the group, because it has to be a group instance. It's not, you can't just have a random public instance that's 18 plus. Like, if you have to be a part of a group, and you have to be able to make a world, you have to have permissions to make instances in that group. In my case, I do have VRChat Plus. I have my own group. It's not an active group. It's just like a personal group I have that sometimes friends join. It's not a big thing. But the other problem is, say you are one of you have the 18 plus and you want to create the worlds. Well, then the problem is the only people who could join your instances are people who have the verification. And there are people who are 18 plus but don't have the verification. Which, understandably, I mean, that's what the point is. But like, I need to experiment with this more. I want to experiment with it, but I want to open up a world through my own group, like a really popular world. I know VR chats like Black Cat, Cuddle Me is popular, the Pub, a few other just general places like that. Open up a world with the verification thing on it, and see if I get people to join. Now it's pretty hard because, generally speaking, because not only do you have the difficulty of if you start a world from fresh and you have if you have friends with you, it's a lot easier because people see, hey, there's a lot of people in this world, let's go join and meet and talk to people. But if it's just you and you're just lonely sitting in the world standing in front of a fucking mirror or something, it's a lot harder. You'll get some people to pop in and hang out, but most of the time you get somebody to pop in for a little bit, hi, bye, leave. You kind of gotta have friends. You kind of gotta have friends that will join with you. And when it comes to VR chat, if I get in VR chat, I just want to hang out. Like, I don't really play games too much in VR chat. I'll occasionally play games with people if they insist on it. But I like going there and meeting people and hang out, and that's the problem. Because, there again, like I said, out of the entire thing, there's only 2 instances I found out of 1,000. That was a group that actually put the 18 plus verification limit on it. And the reason I believe it is 4, because, well, one, it's new, so groups have to transfer over, it's brand new. Because, like, for example, with my group, because you can set a group to be 18 plus verified only. Well, because it just now transferred over, my group personally, I would have 2 options. I'd have to kick everybody, because most people in my group don't have it yet, because it's a new thing. I have to kick everybody, and then they have to get it, which I think you have to have a VR Chat Plus subscription to apply for it. I think if you can cancel your subscription afterwards, but you have to at least be subscribed for 1 month, then get verified, then you can cancel it. But it's annoying though, because if I have a friend, right, say he's brand new, he hasn't touched VR chat, right, and I'm like, oh hey, I'm gonna, you know, bring up my group and we're gonna hang out. Oh god, hiccups. Oh shit. Ow. Well, the problem is if I make it verified plus, because I don't want kids in there, he can't join because he's not verified, even though I know he's perfectly fine. And then the other thing is, like I say, in VR chat, I like hopping worlds and just meeting people. You know, meet people, hang out. Like a few people in my Visago Discord server, people I met in VR chat. All the people in the Cuddle Cult role there are people I met, except with like a few exceptions here and there. Some people are just people I knew in general, but everybody in the Cuddle Cult verification is people I met from VR chat. Lovely people. And I've met some very lovely people in VR chat, but I've also met more like flaky people than I've met people that are. You can find a lot of chill people. Like, I know a lot of chill, but it's, like, you don't really get friendships that go beyond that. And not that I expect to. It's online. You don't really expect much in that regard. But then it becomes a question of, well, I mean, if that's the case, then if it's difficult to have friendships that last from VR chat, I'm not saying, like, full-on close friends I grew up with kind of thing. I'm talking, like, I find a person, they're very interesting, we share a lot of commonality. We go, hey, you have a Discord, let's hang out. And we never hang out on the Discord. That's very common. And it's just, it gets to a point where it's like, why? And then nowadays, the only reason I want to bother with VR chat is I would like to stream it. Because again, we have the stipulation where now, because of the verification, because for streamers especially, this is really good for streamers. So for streamers, they have the problem with VR chat of you basically have to create a private world, and you're usually going to be by yourself. Now, you could go into a public world, like a game, like say Among Us and such, and you could play it, that's fine. But if we're talking like the general chatting worlds, it generally was not a good idea for you to go there. Because if it's a regular public world, you got kids running around, they're going to say shit that's going to get you banned, obviously, because Twitch has stupid TOS where you're responsible for what other fucking people say, which is it's stupid. But if you have 18 plus verification and it's a group that you can kick people out anyway, then one, you're less likely to run into trolls because most of them are kids, or people with like temporary accounts because they don't want their main accounts banned. And two, also with people ne'er-do-wells, let's say. So the way 18 plus verification works is you can only verify once. It's a plus and a bonus. People keep arguing they should allow you to have at least one other account you could verify, but that's not here nor there. That's a whole other topic. But the thing is, though, is because your ID is tied to one account, you do not want that account to get banned. Because if it gets banned, you can't verify ever again. Even if you stop and you don't do that thing anymore, if you create a new account, there's no fucking way you can verify. You would have to have another friend to verify for you in their name in order for you to get verified. So that's a big problem. Like a friend that has no interest at all, which, I mean, there's not many people who are interested anyway, so it shouldn't be too hard but then again, I don't know if they want to give up their fucking ID for you, you know? So the thing is that does stop a lot of trolling stuff. However, the other thing that people are pointing out, though, and what we're expecting, for good reason, mind you, because they do have a verification system in place, is what they're debating that VR chat's going to do is they're going to take all, like, you know, adult avatars, adult worlds and stuff like that, and for good reason, is they're going to, because they're already behind a setting wall, like you have to turn on and off your little not safe for work setting, but what they're probably going to do is, and what everybody's predicting they're going to do, is they're then going to cut them off at, you have to have 18 plus verified to even see them, or at least to be able to use them, right? And when the reason why it is a little concerning is because basically you would have to pay to get to the good parts of VR chat. No, I'm not talking about like spicy ERP or anything. I'm just talking like, because a lot of people use because there are avatars that they're cool avatars. There's no problem. I have a few that I run around in. They just happen to also have spicy things on them that you don't even use. But the avatar itself looks fucking amazing. because that's generally just how it happens in VR chat. Well, if they added that, then it means all these avatars are cut off from people, and they can't use it unless they pay at least 1 month subscription. Now, I personally don't have too much of a problem with it. My main problem is the banning aspect. I think there should be some areas where it's a little more lenient, right? If you do something absolutely horrible, like you're trying to mess with a minor or something like that, then yes, that's a straight up ban. Don't let them ever verify again. But if it's something like, oh no, I said a naughty word, oh woe is me, well guess what, you're banned, you can never verify again, fuck you. It's, why? That's, who cares? Also, a little side note, we're going to side tangent, not just VR chat, internet in general. I just think like people trolling and just saying shit to get a rise out of people is just culture of the internet. I don't know why people got such a big panties in a bunch over it. People saying naughty words. I don't get it. That's just me personally. Maybe it's because, I don't know, I'm an internet boomer or something, and I grew up in the early 2000s with the internet. Would be 90s, but I didn't have a computer at the time. But early 2000s, like Sims 1 era, I definitely had a computer to do things. And, I don't know, we're getting back to the thick skin argument of the internet, so I digress. Fuck. But, no, so I do plan on, at some point, I plan on replacing my, building a new PC. Graphics cards are getting stupidly expensive right now. I need a NAB before, like a 40 whatever. Either 40 whatever, or I just don't remember what the one guy told me to get. It was like a red graphic, like it was named red. I don't remember what it was, but it's like a cheap graphics card that has a lot of fucking VRAM. And it's really good for VR chat. Because my problem is that, oh god, somebody's here. My problem is that so here's the thing. So games are getting a lot more hardware intensive. I personally don't agree with it. I don't think it's really necessary for it to do hardware intensive, unless like they're adding a new dimension. Like, well, for example, VR. That's a very hardware intensive thing. Understandable. My problem though is it's like everything's focusing more and more technology. It doesn't really advance the gameplay, and they're focusing less and less on actual gameplay. There's a few games that do, like Helldivers does, which I really love Helldivers for, even though I don't play it as much anymore, and so on. But, and the other problem, right? Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. There is so many legacy video games. You could pick a year like, say, 2020, right? Right? As long as you don't have FOMO of playing with friends and such, you could literally take a line, start at 2020, and every game after that, just ban yourself from ever playing, and you would still have enough games to probably last a lifetime. You would have enough games to probably last a lifetime, both multiplayer and single player. If you just cut off, you could maybe go back as far as maybe like around 2018, roughly, maybe. To any game made at that point. You could cut it off, and you would not be missing much. Well, the only thing you'd be missing was the FOMO playing with friends in multiplayer games, like, say, Marvel Rivals, well, actually, no, Dead by Daylight would still be viable, because that's 2016. Newer MOBAs, like Smite 2, you'd be cut off of, but who cares? Helldivers, you would be cut off of. But, like, my logic of switching to Linux is, I just want VTube Studio and VR Chat to work on it, because if those two work on it, I could just be like, alright, well, I'm just not going to play any newer game past this point, because there's no reason to. I don't really play video games much anymore. Well, I do, but they're all older games. I don't really play new video games, like brand new video games, except maybe like Helldivers and stuff, right? Little Marvel Rivals, but I can do without them. I don't play them that much. Like, I don't play these new games as much as I used to play like Call of Duty back in the day. Back in the day, I was fucking addicted to games in an unhealthy way. I was fucking addicted. And like, nowadays, that's just not the case. So I could care less if I just pick a date, cut off every game beyond that point, just sit on old hardware that's still gonna be up to date, but it's older, cheaper hardware. Just sit on that and not worry about updating ever. Just give me just enough hardware to run VR decently. I'm good to go. I don't care. I don't care what new games come out. I don't give a fuck about the new Elden Ring. I don't give a fuck about the new Battlefield, because AAA games fucking suck anyway nowadays. Most of them. There are very few exceptions. I'm not missing anything. I'm good. Like, I could be good with like a stasis at some point. And I get the feeling, because here's the thing though, right? I've met a lot of younger people who did not grow up with the games I grew up with, who are going back to old games and saying that they fucking love them. I'm seeing it a lot. I don't have I'm a bit anecdotal here. It's just I've had people who've talked, like, you know, people that approached me and talked to them either in VR chat or on stream or generally speaking, and they say, like, sure, they might play things like, you know, you got your Fortnite, you got your current games that Marvel Rivals everybody plays, but on top of that, they like going back to older games. That's because older games, for the most part, with exceptions here and there, they're not as predatory with their systems. As long as you stay away from EA. Fuck EA. This is Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 is fine. Play Battlefield 4. It's still active. People still play it. Play Battlefield 4. It's good. People still play Battlefield 4. It's great. Anyways, but no. Because the other thing with it, though, is because I don't have as much time as I used to, because full-time job and such. What's really good with it is because, you know, you got your job, you got general just self-care, you know, I go, you know, go brush your teeth, go eat, go whatever. And then you have random shit you got to do, just your life stuff, go take the garbage out, go clean my car, go get gas, all just general chore stuff, you know. All that eating your time in combination of I want to do pixel art and get better at pixel art, which we were going to do, but my fucking tablet got to go shit. This fucking Windows is a piece of shit. On top of that, I would be happy if, like, if we're talking like my relation to the internet, right, and just generally broadly speaking, I would be perfectly content if all I did was the internet from this point forward is make art, make pixel art. You know, I'll be perfectly content because you would get better at it. You'd make stuff that other people can enjoy and you can interact. Like, I'm starting to want to enjoy the community aspect. I'm slowly starting to leave the Skinner's box of trying to grow. Sure, I wouldn't mind meeting more people, but when you start really learning how you relate to people on the internet in this regard, we start learning how you actually relate to people on the internet in that regard. And VR chat will acclimate you to that very fucking quickly when you start meeting people, trust me. You start to see just how much of a rat race it really is. Not that it's surprising, everybody knows it. Common sense dictates that, but it's different when you experience it firsthand, right? But the other thing, though, with community, though, is you don't want to get obsessed with internet community by any means, because, again, you still have your life to live, you know? Now, me, I'm a gremlin. I'm mostly on the internet, aside from, you know, I go for walks and such like that. You know, I enjoy nature. I enjoy... what I like to do is go somewhere with paper and pencil and just draw. Either draw something I see, draw from my imagination, or have my phone draw from reference while I'm outside on a good day. It just sucks the weather's been shitty lately, though, so I haven't really been able to do that. It's funny because my perfect little schedule is I go to sleep early, wake up early, and I go out to my porch. And the wieners, obviously, they have to be with me at all times when you're the only person in the house. And we got a little sofa out on the porch, and I'll just be out there when it's all nice and sunny and warm out, and not like boiling hot, but like spring and fall are perfect because it's, you know, it's like right between warm and cold. It's that perfect temperature, and I can just sit on my porch while dogs do dog things and just draw for like hours and just not give a shit. It's like it's my little paradise, you know. You got a little piece of paradise there, just sitting down and drawing and enjoying it, and it's like, this is my enjoyment of life. This is what makes life worth living, you know? Because we do all this work just to get to that point, you know? The little bit of paradise. And I wouldn't mind more of that. I definitely wouldn't mind more of that. It'd be nice to have somebody to have more of it with, but besides that, though, I would like more of that. And I'm slowly shifting my habits. It's a slow process, but I'm slowly shifting all my habits towards that. You know? Because it comes to thing of just stop giving a shit what people think about you. Stop giving a shit what other people say about you. Beyond like what you bare minimum have to get going in order to get a job and such like that. You know, that's the reasonable thing you have to watch out for. But beyond that, though, stop caring what people say or think about you and what you do. Do your little thing. And they can go suck, and if they have a problem with it, they can suck your dick. You know, I got a nice dick here you can suck if you have a problem with it, you know. And if you're a lady, tell them if you're a lady, tell them you have a bigger dick than them, that they can suck if they have a problem with you. It's like, but you don't have a dick. Exactly. Exactly, you see, because I don't have a dick. You have a negative dick. You are in a dick deficit. You're in a dickicent. That is how much of a pussy you are. So... Oh yes, ramble. So, as far as our content though, I got the little Isabelle thing I need to fix up. The next one, I want to do spicy art myself at some point. We'll get to that. That might happen after that. But I got the little comic things I want to do, like little small. So I was inspired by if you follow my Twitter, I sometimes repost them of the character Jusica, like Jucika. I highly recommend those comics. If you go on Twitter and you follow the account called Jusica Daily, one word, Jucika Daily, Jusica Daily. I highly recommend it because all they do is they just repost old Jusica comics. That's it. That's all it is. And I like it because it's a simple style, pretty character, and it's kind of like a little challenge, right? Like it's a challenge of limitations, because most of those comics are like only 3 panels, and I've been debating on using that exact style and just make 3-panel meme comics like it, right? Like same color and all, but it's my own like content of terms of like what is in the panels exactly. Nothing's really come to mind yet. I've had one thing that came to mind, which was Dad with a Belt. Let me ask you all a serious question. Who would win, Morgoth the Dark Lord or Dad with a Belt? Who would win? Who would win? Shaggy at 100% of his power or Dad with a Belt? Who would win? Who would win, Superman or Dad with a Belt? Who would win? Just fucking... no, it's kind of a play, because... The at least for the villains, it's not really meant for like Superman or anything, but for the villains though, it's like it's a big misbehavior. They never got they were always told yes when they were little, and they never felt any hardship or anything, so they got to be disciplined. So Dad gets the belt. It's like, son, you've committed genocide against the elves. You're getting a whooping, boy. Pulls out the belt. Fucking. Oh god, just stupid shit like that. I got stupid shit on the mind. Let's see here. It's funny though, I asked that question to people and they tend to just take it too seriously. Like I said, Morgoth, like who wins, Dad with Belt and Morgoth, like against Octoglitchy, and they're like, wait, is it Morgoth's dad? Well, yeah, he's like God, like of course, like no, that's not the point. Dad with a belt is a character of just some guy with some dad with a belt. About to put some discipline into him. It doesn't matter who it is. It's like the Shaggy 2% power meme, except it's Dad with a belt. Like, that's why I love it. No, I just have a lot of stupid ideas like that. I just need to act on them. I was going to work on it, but it's just like I don't have an idea of like. I have an idea of Dad with a belt. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna at some point, not today, because my tablet's fuck. Well, it's not my tablet. It's. I'm pretty sure it's just Windows. I'm gonna switch to my Linux at some point and test it. I'm pretty sure it's Windows, but no. I'm just gonna draw Sauron. And it's like, who's gonna win, Sauron the Dark Lord or his dad with a belt? Make some like epic story about Dad with his belt. Dad with the belt is defeated by Dracula, and Dad with belt passes his belt on to his son, and it becomes basically the Belmonts, except it's the Beltmonts. It's Beltmonts with a belt, whipping all the fucking undead creatures. It's just stupid. It's very silly. I'm silly crazy. But Dad with the belt's biggest weakness, somebody who enjoys it. That's his one weakness, is when somebody enjoys the belt. Then he doesn't know what to do. He can't comprehend somebody enjoying the belt. Because there's some kinky motherfuckers out there, we know that. It's not good against succubi. Succubi like that shit. Trust me, I would know. Yeah, you can't. It doesn't work against succubi, but it'll work on everything else. Almost everything else it'll work against. As long as they have nerves. If they have nerves, I don't care if they're a demon that went through the worst possible suffering imaginable, right, in hell. If he can feel pain, he's afraid of dad with a belt. It's just the succubi that are the exceptions, and the people who don't have a nervous system. As the only ones he can't do anything with. I don't care if it's fucking Goku or something. He's gonna be afraid of dad with a belt. They will have the most epic battle ever. And dad will use like 2% of his power against Goku. With a belt. Like, you know, he'll throw a fucking spirit bomb from the entire universe at him, and the dad will just whip the spirit bomb with his belt and annihilate Goku. Homelander versus dad. Actually, no, that would be perfect. Homelander versus dad with a belt. that I think everybody would want to see that. Because fuck Homelander. I just find it funny. There's always like a little joke debate between like Superman, Omni-Man, and Homelander. And like every single one universally shits all over Homelander. Just completely shits on him. For good reason, because fuck him. And canonically, he is the weaker of the three. And like, it's just... Oh god. But, it's kind of weird though. There's a weird debate. So, the creator of Invincible with Omni-Man, there's like, oh well, can Omni-Man deal with Superman? He's like, oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, he could definitely deal with Superman. Superman would stand no chance. And I'm just sitting, and you know, when you hear that, you're just sitting there like, by what evidence? Like, are we just saying like, is this a situation like my character could beat up your character because he has this, that, and the other, and it's like, I know people like, so there's the series Death Battle, right, where they just get random characters Death Battle, and a very common one they have is Goku versus Superman. Superman's one embodied Goku in every single one because they're taking these characters at their strongest. Like, okay, who would win at their strongest? And like, and there are so many fucking characters in fiction that Superman just bodies at their strongest. There are a few exceptions here and there, usually like when they have like weird rules to them and such. But like, most characters Superman absolutely just bodies, if you consider like his strongest feats. Even with like kryptonite used against him, he still bodies them. Because the whole idea of Superman, if we're talking like his original conception, like his original creation in comics, was the idea was that he was a Superman. He is like the top of the top of the top of the top of a man you could possibly imagine. That's the whole point of Superman. The only way he would be any more broken is if like they gave him like magic powers and stuff beyond just the superpowers themselves. You know, like if Superman had reality bending powers in and of himself, he would absolutely be probably the most broken character in almost all of fiction, with but maybe a few exceptions here and there. There are a few like extreme exceptions you can give. But I don't know. Now I'm rambling about comics, which I don't really read comics. It's weird. So comics. I don't really read comics, right? There are some comics, like I do have a few because I like the art in them. There are some things I want to make from comics. There is a I don't know. There's a few comics I do want to do like some practice art with that I like, mainly for the ladies, for the pretty ladies I want to do. But as for on off topic though, on male characters, I do plan on getting started on learning male characters here at some point. It won't be too long. I want to finish this Isabelle animation. I want to do art of myself. So I guess that's probably the one male character I really do is myself, because I'm narcissistic. Anyways, but that aside though. But after that, I do plan on doing a few more lady characters, some animations, because I need to get practice for my game Leviathans with the sprites. And I'm going to go ahead and I will take what is it? Shit. I'm the brain fart. Oh yeah, so once I get comfortable enough with animation for lady characters at like 120 by 120, because like, so the Isabelle thing I got right now, it's really big resolution. It's like somewhere around like 400 by 400 or 320 by 320. That's really big resolution pixar. That's like character portraits in like a old video game where it's like the full up close portrait. For my game, it's 128 by 128, which is like fighting game sprites. Like, think like Darkstalkers or Street Fighter 2, those kind of sprites. You gotta get used to them. But the thing is, though, is I need to not be afraid of using references, right? Because if you really think about it, especially with indie games, like, if you look at a lot of 2D games, they'll use, like, Zelda and like, Castlevania as references. Like, to where they're almost just copying them. And honestly, I think I shouldn't be afraid to use references. Like, you don't want to copy, like, one for one. What you want to do is you want to, like, use them as the reference of drawing. Like, I have it, like I do a lot of my other stuff. Like, say you have a 3D model or something, right? Where you have your drawing over here on the left, and the thing with using pixel art as reference instead of just, like, a regular 3D drawing is that you get a really good idea for how big things like the head and stuff need to be. Because personally, I find it's a lot harder to do that in pixel art than normal, like, big resolution pixel art or traditional drawing. Because traditional drawing, and with digital drawing, you just make a circle and you can change its size at any time if it turns out it's too big or too small. It's not a big deal. In pixel art, you can't really do that. Or you have to do some weird shit. It's why, when it comes to animation for pixel art, especially if it's big pixel art, it's a lot better to not do outlines, or at least only do outlines in areas that, you know, if the same colors interlap or something, you don't want them to interlap, then you do a little outline so you don't get them mixed up. But besides that, though, you generally don't want to do outlines, because if you don't do the outlines, then you can make it bigger or smaller. You just have to do little fixes here and there, maybe smooth out an edge or something. Because if you do outlines, then you have to fuck with the entire outline, and it's a pain in the ass. Anyways, I've been rambling for too long. I think it's time, maybe we see, to raid into somebody. What do we got? Not sure if we have anyone. Oh, we have From the Deep. We have Ferret. I know Longboy. Wait, if Longboy's playing Dark Souls, he wins. I will raid into him. No, shut up, advertisement, go away. He is playing Dark Souls, so we're gonna raid into Longboy. Raid Longboy, he is long. I will say hi to Longboy for me. He's one of my common lurkers. He's a pretty chill dude. He's a pretty chill guy, and he's adorable long little ferret dude. So say hi to him. Dark Flame, it was good having you here. Echo Crow, I enjoy your little lurkies if you're still here. Glassman, I don't think you're here, but go on. And Lichard, I appreciate you as well, my bud. As well as Case. I think Case, you're mainly just lurking through here. Ferryman, I don't know if Ferryman's still here or not, but hi to you if you're still there. But Toodles Mortals, especially everybody on Twitter. Okay, well, side note, we get a lot of people on Twitter, and I've never had anybody actually say anything on Twitter. I think those might just be bot lurkers, I'm not sure. But anyways, that's besides the point. Toodles Mortals, Toodles.